Good morning, buenos días, dober dan. This is all I know about Croatian, so I apologize, but I will speak in English. It's not my native language, but it's one that I believe everybody can easily understand. Before beginning, let me just talk a little bit why I choose this topic to talk about. Because in most of the events and presentations that I go, people tend to understand and to look at the smart cities as an exercise of deploying technology, as an exercise of employing devices, IoT devices, sensors, and other technical equipment. And the idea that we always think when we talk about smart cities is, well, this is a city of the future. It's like a Star Wars city where everything is connected, every equipment talks to the other. But indeed, when we talk about smart cities, there are a couple of buzzwords, there are a couple of technical elements that we always will find. So it's this future, is city next, is how sensors are connected, connected cities, cities of the future, smart cities. Buzzwords, things that drives you to think about what a smart city can be. However, when you start talking about deploying this kind of elements, these kinds of sensors, this kind of elements that will measure and metric your city, you are talking about collecting billions of data points. Are collecting temperature, are collecting weather information, are collecting traffic information, energy consumption, people movements, billions and billions of data points, services that are required, where construction is going to happen. And indeed, data is something very, very important to the concept of a smart city. We will not be able to build a smart city without having proper data. Yeah, and data, there are many forms to have that data. We already have in our cities a lot of data. We have legacy systems, traditional IT systems that have been stored data for many, many years. Data about citizens, movements, transactions, records. We also are talking now about having open data, data that is available to everybody to check, to understand what is going on. We have data that is structured, we have data that is not structured, we have big data. So everybody is also talking about data. And smart cities' data, they really are connected. But the problem is not the data. Data is mostly of the times is available or will become available. The big issue is what we do with data. We need information. We need to take all this data, this raw data, and transform in something that is useful for the mayor, for the city managers to make decisions. So we need to be able to take that data and start to answer questions: when to do an intervention in the city, how to do it, what needs to be done, who is responsible, who needs that, and how much it's going to cost. We need to have data to enable us to do proper planning and to deliver good citizen services. If we don't use the data to that purpose, there is no meaning, no sense to have a smart city. A city will not be smart, it will be a dump city. So, and what that is important because information is where we can transform. With information is how we can transform a city in a better place. Because at the end, having a smart city is to create a city where citizens will feel much more comfortable, will feel safe, will have pleasure to work with, will be productive. So that concept is having the information that comes from the data that we collect in our city infrastructure, to monitor that information and to transform that information in something that is useful. And when we do that, the outcomes will be having a more efficient city, having something that can provide much more livable space and much more better living conditions for our citizens. So that will enable to foster our economy, to be a much more productive environment, and to bring better results to the people that lives in that specific city. So, but if you're talking about data information, this is indeed IT, this is technology. So if we want really to do that, we need to create a platform, or we need to create a framework where we can do data transformation, transform raw data into useful information. So smart cities, they also require a technology framework, how we can do that. And this is a sample that one of the possible technology frameworks. This is a very broad concept where we have on the left-hand side, all the different sensors or IoT devices that we can install in the city. And we process all the different problems related to transportation, problems related to how we manage light and energy in our city, how we can control water quality in the city, avoid leakages, prevent contamination, things that will enable us to be more safe in the city, to understand what is going on. But technology, that piece is just one small component of our problem. So technology is not the full and complete answer for creating smart or creative cities. It's just a small piece of it. It's just a piece of the puzzle. When we talk about creating a smart city, we need to take into consideration three main areas. One area that is related to public policies that we need to have in place to support the things that need to be done in the city, and that includes what are the laws that enables us to create a smart city, that will support the initiatives in the smart city, that will create the standards and regulations that we need to deploy the smart city. The second thing that is very, very important is the governance model that we have to have in the city to enable us to do the proper planning, to do the project management, and to evaluate the results. It doesn't help me to input just a smart transportation system in a city if I'm not able to measure which are the real benefits that that investment brought to me. And when we talk about doing economic sensitivity analysis on investments in public sector in cities is very complicated because return on investment is not the only thing that we need to measure. The economic return in cities is not just how much money I'm going to save or how much is going to be my ROI, my return on investment. We also need to measure things that are much related to the social benefits, the social returns that an investment can make, and that not always is measurable as a return on investment. So, and finally, the three component that we need to have is the resources that are available to deploy the smart city. And when we talk about resources, we are talking for sure about, do I have money to invest? Do I have funds to invest to do my project? Do I have the human resources that will be able to implement the technologies and operate the resources that I'm building? Did I create the capacity? Did I train the right people on the right processes and methodologies to do the smart cities? And do we have the technology? So if you look at that picture here, you see that technology is just one component of everything we need to have to implement in the smart city. The smart city is a very complex issue, and technology is just a small component of it. To finalize, what I want to say to you today is that there are three pillars to be successful and deploy any kind of projects, and particularly smart cities. In that area, the three main components for that is have the proper policies, have good management capabilities through governance, and have the technology in our favor. Use them. But fundamentally, if we are in public sector space, if you are in government or city space, one thing that is very, very important is to have the proper leadership to take this project ahead. Without leadership, nothing will happen. You can have good governance, you can have good technology, you can have resources, whatever you want. But if there is nobody really driving, really managing and taking the leadership to take this ahead, nothing is going to happen. Okay, I wanted to make it short. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you.